You were notified that a request was entered in this. Okay. I got one of these the other day. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I said, with respect to okay, that's my request. And I put something in there the other day. What am I supposed to find here? It looks just like my request. It says, correct, you were notified that it. Okay, so nothing important. Okay, what were you going to ask me?
Oh, I was just going to ask if it's, at this point, if it's okay regarding my family law case, to just go ahead and send in my original quadro that I signed. But there's no judge signature.
I will tell you, as a matter of procedure, when you're dealing with important money, money like that in legal documents, you never get an opinion based upon something that somebody can't see. I was just encouraging you to do what you want and to do it improperly. I don't know what was done on that case. Yeah. What should have been done, there should have been a marital settlement agreement or a judgment at trial. Marital settlement agreement. New York!
I swear we haven't becomes like Virginia. I don't know
in
anybody.
Alabama,
yeah.
too. They just call your phone.
Like,
Who are these people?
Like Maine. Like one time I got a call from Maine. I'm like, I don't know anybody in Maine.
yeah, you get a why would it be getting? Every once in a while it's a client. But so I restrain myself. It's kind of like, and then I hear the recording, or I hear, "Hi, how are you doing?" And, and every once in a while it's somebody, it's a client. I said, I've studied, I've had a little sales training. First thing they ask you is, how you doing? Come off like that, you're going to get that response. You put yourself in the sales, in the solicitor category, and I frankly have no tolerance for them.
Yeah.
None. Yeah. And I have no apology either. Okay, let me think here. Let me just write this down. Okay.
How much do you charge for a consultation?
Excuse me. What's supposed to happen is there's supposed to be a judgment authorized as a quadro. Doesn't happen any other way.
Yeah.
The judgment, whether there's a quadro or not, most cases don't have quadros. It just deals with pension plans, that are regulated by what this federal law called ERISA, E-R-I-S-A. But at any rate, to get a judgment, you either have to have a settlement, and that's usually done with a marital settlement agreement, sometimes with a stipulated judgment. Either way, it's something you sign, both sides sign, or you go to trial, or you do both. Sometimes some issues go to a trial, and some issues are resolved by agreement. And once you get the judgment, and sometimes you have more than one judgment, you have a judgment for status, terminating the marriage and reserving other issues, and a judgment on reserved issues, and sometimes you have a supplemental judgment, whatever. And the quadro implements the judgment. It's sort of like somebody, I don't want to get into legalese. So the quadro, there should be a judgment that says what's required of a quadro. And in the quadro, it involves a pension plan. And the pension plan has lawyers on staff. And it's really anal retentive. It wants to make sure that the quadro lives up to its idea what a quadro should be and what the court has ordered. And if it finds a mistake, it'll cause problems. So something has to be drafted. Okay, the judgment has to authorize the quadro. The quadro has to be done to meet the requirements of the judgment, the directions of the judgment, plus meet the needs of the pension plan, who's presumably has a say in what goes into that judgment. And it's not that hard to imagine a pension plan that has that effectively says, a pension plan that is involved in getting a judgment, meets its desires, and then running into an incompetent attorney that can't figure out how to get a quadro that matches that. An inexperienced attorney. Nobody learns to do this stuff in law school. Law school is, it's kind of like learning how to talk when you're a baby. You don't read or write. You just do one stage at a time. And law school only deals with so much. So my guess is you have a good judgment that the pension plan has been joined in to deal with and has given its input in, and somebody needs to come up with quadros that implement that judgment. It may or may not have been done. And if it was intended to be done correctly, there's always a chance the lawyer screwed up and the pension plan didn't catch it. But I'm not going to believe that. My guess is the pension plan hasn't signed off on a screwed off quadro. But the only way to be sure about that stuff, you got to get copies of the court records. And I don't charge for initial consultations. I keep them to a half an hour. And one of the reasons I do that is because the ones usually take over that, people are disorganized on how the paperwork, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So you get that stuff.
Yeah.
If it's a great big case of thousands and thousands of dollars, I'll spend more than half an hour. But it probably won't take that. Probably take 10, 15 minutes looking it over.
Yeah, my stuff is in order. It probably won't take me about 30
Yeah,
minutes.
but you got to get out to the courthouse
Okay.
and get a copy of any agreement to get a judgment, any judgment, and any quadro that's on file.
Okay.
And, you know, if there's errors, we can start to say, oh, yeah, somebody didn't catch that this required this, and they put that in there instead.
Yeah,
Or
that's
say,
no
hey,
problem.
there's no quadro on file. The quadro might have got headed off the pass at the employer's pension plan. Okay, I gotta
That's
get
a
going.
great idea. I'm going to do that, and then I'll call you. Okay?